Hey, what's going on? Luke here, and we are already closing in on round 2 of the 2021 NRL season. And with that, I thought we'd go and have a look at my Supercoach, take a look at the round 1 results, also just take a look at my team in general, because I did a video a couple of weeks ago where I showed you my team, but I did make some changes. There was a few guys who were out suspended that I didn't realise. Obviously, a few cheapies got named, and I said I was going to update it before round 1, and I didn't do it. So let's take a look at it now. Now, just before we take a look at my Supercoach side, I just want to ask if you do happen to go ahead and enjoy this video, and make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. It's super essential in terms of growing the channel. Also, make sure to turn on the notification bell. Also very important, let you be notified immediately that I've uploaded. Also, give me a follow on social media. It's on the screen right now. It's Mr. Luke on YT for the most part. It's Mr. Luke just on Facebook, but I've been posting on there quite a bit. And why not give me a follow? So go ahead and do that. Now we're going to take a look at the Supercoach side. So here we have it. Here is my side. Not a lot of changes compared to when you saw it last, but there is a few. Obviously, you've got subs and all that sort of stuff. Tedesco was obviously a big one this week. So he got 162. I had him as my captain, so he scored 300 odd points. I think later on we'll actually go through my score as a whole, where I'll show the whole team, and I think I scored like 1,200, something along the lines of that. Did quite well. Tedesco is a big help there, but just showing you the side. I end up going with Brayley as my bench hooker. Pretty good move in the end, 86 for him. Obviously, Bulldogs weren't that great. Knights got a big win, so that does help. Paul Vaughan was a big one, kind of did what I thought he would. Papali was a little bit of a disappointment, but he did get Sim in at the end, which I think would have taken off quite a bit of points. In terms of changes, though, first off, also, I did play Angus Crichton, but he's suspended this week, so I've just chucked him out there. I put that Jack Gosevsky. He was someone that I did bring in, because originally I had Corey Harawira-Naera, but I didn't realise he was actually suspended for a couple of weeks. And also with the emergence of Hudson Young, he played really, really well on the weekend. I think he'll retain his starting spot in the second row. They're not going to chuck him out after playing well and put in Harawira-Naera, who's also a newbie to the club, hasn't been around for a while and has already got into trouble at his new club. So they're not going to chuck him in. So in hindsight, good move by me to get rid of him. So I'm pretty happy with that one. Gosevsky did pretty well. He is a bit of a cheapie. I'm just looking for him to gain a little bit in price and then move him on. But yeah, the rest of the side, Jordan Ricky there, Fuamiono, both did pretty solid. Fuamiono in the lock position in not a great Dragon side, scoring some pretty good points. So pretty good pick up there. The rest of them, I think Ogden was someone who I don't think I had at the start. Look, I actually didn't think he played very well on the weekend. Yeah, his points 39, not too bad. He's a starting prop for the Bulldogs. So I think he was always going to get some decent points, but I think out of him and Hetherington, I think Hetherington would have had way more points. I think he had way more runs, way more impactful runs anyways. But the rest of the side, I think it was pretty much the same. Look, Ferguson scored 92, scored a try. Exactly what I said he was going to do. I thought he'd get back to form. I mean, he was scoring some pretty decent points. I mean, not fantastic, but the base points that he got without any tries was okay. He just needed the tries, and obviously he got that on the weekend. Actually, I'm starting to talk about players. I may as well take you through the whole squad and take you through all of the scores that they got. I'll take you through the captains, vice captains, all that sort of stuff. So I'm going to go into a different little screen on here, and I'll be back in a sec. Okay, so we can look at all the points that my players have scored. Damien Cook at 36, not great. Obviously, the Rabbitohs didn't really do too much, and when they came on, it was Benji Marshall who was doing a lot of it, Latrell Mitchell as well, so they would have scored quite well, Latrell Mitchell in particular, but Damien Cook, he didn't really do too much. There wasn't many runs. That is a little bit of a worry for me. Obviously, times were tough. The Melbourne, they just came out all guns blazing, so I can't really blame him for it, but it is something I tend to see from Damien Cook. When games are tough, he doesn't really do a hell of a lot in terms of running the ball, and as much as I think the rule changes are going to help the Rabbitohs, maybe Damien Cook's not going to live up to the hype. I don't know, but we'll have to keep an eye on him the next couple of weeks. Jaden Brayley, obviously we talked about him before, did quite well. He's got a little thumbs down for not scoring against the Warriors pretty well, but I think he'll do all right. 86. If he can average 86, I'll definitely take that one. Josh Papali, 33, a little bit lackluster from him, but I know he can get a lot higher, so it's something to keep in mind. Big Tino, a 60, a lot of drop balls, a lot of penalties in that, and he still scored a 60, no tries. He must have a pretty good motor. I didn't really get to see too much of the game, but it did look like he had a great game, to be honest with you, but still getting a 60, I'll take that. It just means he's getting through a lot of work, and I think he's going to continue to do that, so a 60 from him, pretty happy with that. Paul Vaughan, same goes to him, 73. It's not base of score at a try or anything, so I'm pretty happy with Paul Vaughan's score there, 73, just a workhorse in the middle there for the Dragons. Ogden, already talked about him briefly. Not too thrilled with him on the field, but his Supercoach score was quite good. He's going to play some decent minutes for the Bulldogs, I would imagine. He started last week. I can't see him getting dropped in 1 week, so we'll see. But Josh Jackson, another Bulldog there, 57. Once again, in a big, heavily defeated side like the Bulldogs, 57 is a pretty good score for Jacko. Being in the middle there, just making lots of tackles, did exactly what I thought he would do, and sort of average what I thought he would do too. I've got the points, I should say, that I thought he would get. Jacob Host, thought he'd get a little bit more, but it just got absolutely destroyed by the Storm. So apart from Joy Arrow, I don't think many of the Rabbitohs forwards would have done that well. Or maybe Cameron Murray as well. But yeah, Jacob Host didn't really do great, but I expect him to do a lot better as we move on into the season. Krzyzewski, we already talked about him a little bit, but 39 in a well-beaten Manly side. Must have did a lot of tackles, played a fair bit of minutes too, so not too bad for him. Angus Crichton speaks for itself. Obviously suspended this week, which isn't good, which not good for probably a lot of Supercoach guys. I think he was one of the more highly picked second rowers, so going to be a lot of guys being like, oh no. Also, you add in the Roosters like Jay Friends with the concussion. Just concussions in general seem to be a little bit harder this year, so we'll have to see how that goes for Supercoach fans and players, but yeah, Angus Crichton out due to suspension. Jordan Ricky, a 40. Thought he might have did a little bit better, but there's a big game against the Titans this week. Obviously, you've got Tino. He's up against David Fafita. Probably wants to make his mark considering he's taken Fafita's place. So yeah, hopefully he does a lot better than a 40. Fuamiono, a 50 for him. Oh, sorry, 56, I should say. Pretty decent for a guy who's sort of relatively unknown, relatively cheap, 259,000. I think that's a really, really good score. Nathan Cleary, obviously the big guns there, 103. If you didn't have Tedesco, you want to hope that you had Cleary as your captain because he absolutely killed it this week. 103, 24-0. If you're going to win 24-0, your halfback's probably going to get some good scores. So kind of explains itself, but as a great start to the season for Nathan Cleary, it's one of the higher paid players, or most expensive players, I should say. I'm talking as if I'm actually buying them, but as one of the more expensive players on the game, you expect him to be getting scores around this. So it's good that he started off so strong. Mitchell Moses, 55. Don't really know if that's good. I feel like he could definitely do a lot better, and I think he will do a lot better going forward. Against Melbourne, probably not. That's who they've got this week, but we'll have to see. I don't know if I want to make him a reserve this week, but I'm just going to leave him there. Michael Morgan, 45. Not great, but I mean, the team literally got beat 24-0. No try assists, no tries in general. So yeah, 45 for a team that didn't score a point at all. I think that's not too bad for Michael Morgan, so we'll see how he goes for the rest of the season, but I think that is promising considering the lack of points Cowboys scored. However, obviously, the fact that they didn't actually score points is a little bit concerning. A little bit, very concerning, I'd say, for Cowboys, but yeah, 45 for him, it's not too bad. You've got to assume that they're going to start scoring tries pretty soon, so if he can just be involved in a couple of them, should get a pretty good score, I reckon. Connor Watson, 53. Don't know if he's going to end up playing in the 5'8" position now. Kurt Mann's injured, but he came on. He looked really, really good when he played, but at the end of the day, it was only the Bulldogs. So a 53 for him. Thought that was quite decent. You compare it to Mitchell Moses, who played the whole game in halves, and Connor Watson, obviously 53, Mitchell Moses 55. I think Connor Watson obviously had a better game, played less minutes, and he is cheaper. So 288,000 for him is looking like a bargain already if that's what he's going to be producing, 53 points every week. I would love that. Fergo, already touched him earlier, 92 for him with 352,000. That's exactly what you wanted for Fergo, and that's exactly why a lot of people would have put him in. They were just banking on him scoring a couple of tries, and he got that in the first round. Already broke the duck. It took him bloody 17 weeks or whatever. Last one, 17 rounds, not even 17 weeks, but 17 rounds last year, and it's taken him one round to break it this year. So good stuff. Fusitu'a, on the other hand, 20, not great. I mean, the Warriors, they did win, but they weren't winning off the back of super amazing attack. It's all their defense. So Fusitu'a probably not going to get super involved. So kind of explains the 20, but I expect him to get more involved in the future. Then we have Dane Laurie, 47. Great start, great debut for the young Tiger. 223,000. Everybody's got him in the side, I would assume. He's a starting fullback. You've got to have him in there, and that's exactly what I did. It's just a matter of whether you make him a reserve or put him in starting side. Due to money reasons, I chucked him in the starting side, and that's not too bad. 47, I'll take that. Bailey Simonson, same goes to him, 40. Pretty solid. Probably can do a lot better in this Raiders side. I expect him to get a couple more tries later on in the season. But a 40 to start off with, I'll take that. James Roberts at 34, an interesting one. He did get subbed off later in the game. Joey Leilua is a detriment to that side. But I think James Roberts, he's going to retain his spot throughout the season. I expect Leilua to be the one who's going to get dropped. And I think James Roberts definitely has the ability to score a lot higher than this. 34 without scoring any tries or really doing too much. I'll take that for him. But yeah, Jason Saab, he was the one who's the real letdown. 11 points for him. Absolutely terrible. There was always talk about him being physically good, like he has the height, he's got the speed, but just in terms of having a go, he just didn't really have a go. And that's kind of what it looks like just based off his Supercoach stats. 11. I know you take it with a grain of salt, Supercoach stats, but if he's scoring an 11, you expect him to get in, use his big body, get in there, work hard, take lots of runs from dummy half, take those first runs off the back of kicks and that sort of stuff, make kick return meters. Just looks like he didn't do absolutely anything. Just 11. That's pretty poor. That is very, very poor. I know they got absolutely hammered, but at the same time, 11, that's pretty bad. In fact, that's not pretty bad. That's really, really bad. But then we move on to Tessie New, 36, in a side that was probably one of their better games, the Broncos. If they keep that up, I think 36 is going to be a decent little score for him. Didn't score any tries or anything. My only concern is that the Broncos, have they already peaked already in round 1 in a game that they lost? I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see. You're going to have to see how they go against the Titans. If the Titans come out and towel them up, maybe. But maybe last week was a sign of things to come for the Broncos. Maybe Kevin Walters has got them going. But yeah, Tessie New definitely looked pretty good. And also, just Supercoach-wise, looks pretty good too. 232,000, you can't complain for a 36. James Tedesco, don't even really need to talk about it. 162, scored a hat-trick. I'm actually surprised with scoring a hat-trick he didn't get more points. But look, 162, that's one of the highest scores I've ever seen on Supercoach. So look, I think he scored a 200 before. He's been very, very close. But see how Tedesco goes for the rest of the season. I would have loved to have seen how Pappenhausen went too, because he scored a couple and obviously was very influential for the Melbourne side. So I'd assume he'd be right up there. But Tedesco, 162. If you had both of them, you're laughing. You would have had a hell of a score this week. But obviously only on Tedesco, so can't really complain there. Tex Hoy, 43. He's someone who is just filling in for Callum Ponga, but look, for 240,000, I think he even might get a bench spot at some point in the season, especially if Kurt Mann's out long term. Well, I think he is out long term, got some sort of knee problem. But what that means to Connor Watson, whether he comes into the halves or whether he keeps playing that lock position, and what that means to Tex Hoy, maybe Tex Hoy ends up in the halves. I don't really know. But look, 43 in your first outing for the season, I'll take that from Tex Hoy. It's better than what I expected. I was expecting maybe a 30. So getting a 43, I'll take it. No try scored or anything as well. So he's definitely got a lot of room to grow. Obviously getting better as a player, he's got a lot of room to grow too. So maybe his performances will get better and maybe Supercoach points will get better. Don't really know, but he's not really a long-term option at this point. But yeah, that's my team there. Overall, on my side, I mean, I had Jaden Brayley, Paul Vaughan, Mitchell Moses, and Connor Watson as my subs. So that's a pretty good little subs bench there. They all did quite well. There wasn't really anyone on the reserves as well that I was like, oh man, I should have put them in. Because everyone that I picked were the highest ones out of their position. So I was pretty happy with that one. The overall score I got was 1,255. Pretty happy with that. Obviously, guys like Jaden Brayley scoring really high, it definitely helped me. And him being on the bench and being a cheapie as well, it definitely helps. But yeah, Tedesco, he carried big time. Him and Nathan Cleary definitely carry this side. Blake Ferguson, another one. There are a couple of players to carry your side, but you need that every week. You need a couple of players to have those big 100-point weeks, and I got that. I got very, very fortunate, but we'll see how we go in round 2. I feel like generally I start the season pretty well. Usually the first couple of rounds, it's when injuries and stuff start to happen that I go, oh shit, do I go for a cheapie, or do I go for a cash cow, or do I go for a star? So that's my little wrap-up, my little review of my first round of the Supercoach season. Leave in the comment section below, how did you go? Did you do better than me? Did you do worse than me? How did Pappenhausen go? I want to see how he went. I'm sure a lot of people in the comment section below had Pappenhausen. How many points did he get? Did you have him as a captain? Did you have Tedesco as a captain? Let me know. Also, go ahead and give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. Especially if you're enjoying this sort of content, if you're enjoying the Supercoach stuff, let me know because I'll keep doing more of this sort of stuff. But yeah, like and subscribe, turn on the notification bell. Super important in terms of growing the channel. Also, give me a follow on social media. It's on the screen right now. It's Mr. Luke on YT. For the most part, anyways, my Facebook's just Mr. Luke, but everything else is Mr. Luke on YT. Same what's on the screen right now, including Snapchat, Mr. Luke on YT as well. So go ahead, give me a follow, give me an ad. Been posting on social media a hell of a lot more, so definitely give me a follow. But yeah, that's all I got to say for this video. That was my Supercoach wrap up. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I'll see you in the next video. See yous.